everyone. Welcome to Agita News, where the news just keeps spinning and it's like heartburn and it just keeps repeating. So I wanted to make a video. It's been a long time since I made one, and I've been cleaning all day and everything, so I'm just not going to put any makeup on. I'm just going to be here as I am. All right, so in Agita News, I go over what's in the news, what we're being distracted from, and what news is of interest to me and maybe to you, and look at some things we're not being told and some things that I don't go down conspiracy rabbit holes, though some might consider it conspiracy. I just can see through a lot of what's going on in the news, and I talk about it out here. I haven't done a video in a long time, so I thought I would do some catch up. There's a lot going on with the Jeffrey Epstein case, and that is what I talked about, and I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of information from Ghislaine Maxwell, Prince Andrew, who will have to talk to his accusers and his accuser, and I will be glad to be hearing from what Naomi Campbell has to say, because Naomi, and remember I said in my video, be cautious to watch Naomi Campbell. Every picture of Jeffrey Epstein, every picture of Ghislaine Maxwell, his business partner, ex-girlfriend, some called the madam, the trainer, the whatever. Always Naomi Campbell in the mix with Donald Trump, with the Clintons, with always Naomi Campbell in that mix, always with her eye gazed on actually the young girls that are with the men, which is interests me right away, because all of the girls said they did have a lot of young models come in that were teenagers and from other countries and all around. And Naomi Campbell knew all these young models that maybe didn't make it in the modeling industry. They tried out. They went on all their go-sees. They did all their stuff, and maybe they weren't making it. So she found them work. So Naomi Campbell has been named. So keep your eye on that. Number two, with everything that was going on in Iran, including the assassination of the general, the surprise attack from Iran counter to military bases, the plane being shot out of the sky, Ukraine and Canada, and all those people that were killed because of retaliation from Iran, because the general was killed. I can't say his name. Soleimani, I guess the best I can do. Because of all that, and then an earthquake in things that we didn't hear is there was an earthquake in Puerto Rico, and worse situation than Hurricane Maria, and that just kind of they're nothing. Nick Gordon was found dead on New Year's Day. Nick Gordon is the young man that supposedly Whitney Houston adopted when he was 12 and grew up with Bobby Christina and her. And Nick Gordon was in the hotel room, in the bathroom, giving mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to Whitney before the first responders came. Nick Gordon then became Bobby Christina's boyfriend, aka husband. Then Bobby Christina was in another room in the bathroom, drowning, and Nick Gordon was unaware of it, but they had been fighting and there were many bruises on Bobby Christina's body. Bobby Brown sued Nick Gordon because he believed that Nick Gordon was responsible for his daughter's death because of what was going on at the house that they shared together, and because of the fact that Nick Gordon admitted that he had been putting his hands on Bobby Christina in a very aggressive way, and that they had been using a lot of drugs together, and they had been fighting. Bobby Christina, according to Bobby Brown, wanted to go to LA and be with her father and get some studio time and record her album, and she was ready to dance, sing, and act, and she was talented. Bobby Brown said she had her mother's voice, which they really did not showcase in a good situation on the reality TV, because he was honest about Bobby Christina smoked a lot, just like her mother, and that but she really could hit the high notes, but she did not want to sing her mother's music. She was not there emotionally where she could ever sing her mother's music. So on the reality show, it shows, music producers coming and talking to her and saying, sing your mother's song. And she can't. She just can't. She can't do it. And, I just thought that was horrible that they did that. And then people were like, oh, she thinks she can sing. She can't sing. And then she did acting, and she actually is very good at acting and singing. And Bobby Brown said she had her mother's voice, her mother's acting and theatrical abilities, and she had his legs. She could dance like he did. She said Whitney couldn't dance for nothing. She couldn't really dance. But Bobby Christina had inherited her daddy's legs and her mama's entertainment and vocals. And she was ready to cut an album and do it all right before she died. Okay, fast forward. There was a civil suit, and Nick Gordon was found guilty of being responsible for Bobby Christina's death. There's also the very weird aspect of the fact that he was right there in the other room while she was laying face down in a bathtub. After they had fought, he was downstairs getting high with his friends. And even some of the friends that were there were asking him, is she okay? You should go check on her. And he wasn't doing it. So, that's the official story. Meanwhile, the official story is Nick Gordon, whose real name is Nicholas something else. And no, it's not Nicholas, but I'll think of it. It's not his real name. Really was having a little tiff with his mom, like a lot of kids do, at around 12, 13 years old. And he was one of Bobby Christina's friends. And Bobby Christina went to her mother and said, can he stay here? He has nowhere to stay. And Whitney said, sure. Bobby Brown says, I never heard of this guy. And when Bobby Christina was 12 years old, 12, 13, 14, Bobby Brown was still living with Whitney and his daughter. And very involved in his daughter's life until later, when they actually moved to different places. And, excuse me, he said, never heard of the guy, never saw the guy, never heard of the guy. So I don't know where this guy came from. That my ex-wife supposedly adopted while I was married to her. So there's that. He was found dead January 2nd. His father made a statement saying Nick made a lot of poor choices. He went into rehab. A lot of people helped him. And that Nick had talked to his father on New Year's Eve and his mother, and told his dad and his mom he was in a very good place. He had been depressed. He had used drugs. He had to get rehabbed. But he had a lot of loss and a lot of blame. He thought of Whitney as another kind of parental figure. It was very traumatic for him to be in the room trying to make her live when she was dying, and then have to see his girlfriend end up in the hospital. And it was very, very traumatic to be thrown into the reality TV show they did. Just everything was a whirlwind with him. This young man was just trying to find some stable ground, and he seemed to have found it. He said he had finally gotten a job, and he worked out a payment arrangement for all the money he was going to owe for the civil suit, and he felt really comfortable about the payment arrangement and how much money he was going to be making working, and he was really looking forward to it. And he said to his dad, 2020 is going to be the best year yet. I've got it all figured out. And he had been sober. He was found dead in a very strange way. A lot of people have said that is the way it is when a person aspirates or vomits blood when they've taken too many opiates, or dies of a opiate overdose. But his parents have said the situation that they found him in was not an opioid overdose or alcohol. Excuse me. And he was found with something very black and nasty in his mouth that has not been identified. Okay, so Nick Gordon is dead. So now you have Whitney Houston, Bobby Christina, and Nick Gordon. Nick Gordon being the only person that was in the room with Whitney when she died. He was the only, according to Pat, the sister-in-law, nobody was there but Nick Gordon. Okay, then you got Nick Gordon. So who knows? We're not hearing anything about that. Number 2, 3, 4, and 5, the impeachment. The acquittal, the charade, the sham, the due process show of action. Makes no sense to me. It never did. You can't have a trial without witnesses, without evidence, without documents, without. So, this went forth as the next president. You will not be able to do this. We will be watching him. Okay. Is Donald Trump going to get removed from the? No. Okay, what went on with the State of the Union and Nancy Pelosi ripping up the? I guess you could think, hey, don't piss off an Italian woman, but she knew what was in that speech before it came to her. Now, here's what I saw, and I have looked at this over and over again. I really did not see Donald Trump turn his face towards her. I saw Nancy Pelosi hesitate a little bit while she was grabbing the speech, kind of hesitate and put her hand out, and him already turn. I truly don't think he really saw her hand, but this makes good TV. I think he missed it, and I'll tell you why. Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, says he didn't even notice Nancy Pelosi ripping up the speech, standing there right behind. I mean, I had flashes of when Donald Trump was kind of menacing in the back of Hillary Clinton, and she would walk this way, he would walk that way. All I could see was Nancy Pelosi. And here was Michael Pence, okay? So this was what I saw Mike Pence do. He was looking in this direction and doing this. And I'm telling you, this is his. Let me see if I can even. get my face to do. Oh wait, gotta get the smell. Zombie. Okay, so face was like this. Totally not noticing Nancy over here ripping up the thing. Didn't see it. It wasn't until she threw the last bit of the papers in front of it and he looked down. And then he went like this. No expression. Is it possible that Donald Trump did not see the gesture? Is it possible that Nancy Pelosi was going to rip up that speech anyways, whether he shook her hand or not? I don't know. Just putting it out there. Okay. The caucus. I've never thought the caucus should be what it is. I've never thought it should be in Iowa. I don't agree with the caucus. I don't agree with New Hampshire, Iowa, Nevada, all this big. Who says that these states represent America? They don't. They don't. At one time, maybe they did. They don't anymore. Okay, the people that live there, it is a great pride and joy for them to take part in this. But if we cannot teach the people how to use the app, if the app that they're using, which they had to name the shadow just to make it more sensationalized, right? And feed into this conspiracy thing. I just find the whole app name crazy. Only the shadow knows who won. You know, when I was growing up, my mom used to always say, "Only the shadow knows for sure," because there was a TV show that was that, and my mom used to constantly. I had a million questions for my mom all the time. I never shut up. I was always like, "Mom, did she be? I don't know, Maria. I don't know, Maria. I don't know, Maria." And then eventually she'd be like, "Only the shadow knows." I'd be like, "Well, who does know?" "Only the shadow knows for sure." Really spooky. Ooh, who's the shadow? Ask the shadow. My mom was quite funny that way. Anyways, so I like that sense of humor that she had. Um, man. So we grew up hearing that a lot. And I'm 60, so I think people in my generation grew up with that whole show, and only the shadow knows for sure. It's not some big Illuminati thing to us. It's like we're up there with Howdy Doody Time and Captain Kangaroo and Dancing Bear and Mr. Green Jeans and all that stuff, right? Um, so yeah, I'll get back on track in a minute. Um, no worries. I didn't forget. So the caucus, only the shadow knows who actually won. So, but everybody moved along to New Hampshire. So we will always wonder, why are you in New Hampshire when who really belongs in New Hampshire? But I love the spirit of Amy Klobuchar, who said, we're here. Everybody moving right along. I'll take that as a win. Everybody, Andrew Yang. So watching the town hall last night, what I came away with was CNN was hosting it, and they were asking the question, what is the one thing as a young kid, personal, as a child, maybe as a young kid, that you wanted the voters to know about you that they may not know? Now, I listened very carefully to what everyone said. Elizabeth Warren kind of repeated the kind of house she grew up in and the rooms shared and really the income level they were at. Very simple, um, hardworking, and what would be considered impoverished. Um, so she has shared that before, but she shared it again. Um, Of course, this was after Joe Biden shared about overcoming stuttering. Now, what I have issue with is, why is the news hyperventilating about Joe Biden sharing this? He has a foundation for stuttering. He's had it for a long time. He's been talking about how he overcame stuttering since 2008 on every show and platform he can. Here's my thing with Joe Biden. And if you look at my other videos on Agenda News, you'll see it. I do not want this man hurt. I said Joe Biden's going to be hurt. I said that out here. I said Trump's going to go after him. He's going to hurt him, and he's going to keep going after him. And Joe Biden is still in a fragile state. I believe with my whole heart that the reasons he's running is, he says, to save the soul of America. He wants to be part of saving the soul of America, but that is a job exclusive to God and God only. And because you promised your late son, Beau, who really would have been a good president, and we know that, and he was kind of being prepped for that a little bit. That Beau asked him, Dad, go, run. And he's doing it. I get it, but that's part of his own personal grief work. I don't hear anything new with Joe Biden other than I feel his heart is not really in it yet. He's still wishy-washy, kind of in it, but he's still grieving horribly. He's still grieving horribly. And I think when Beau died, he finally was able to grieve his ex-wife and his daughter dying too. I think that all came back to him. And then, he is a sympathetic figure because Donald Trump has gone after his one surviving son, Hunter, and him. But I just don't want him to be hurt, and I can't explain the feeling I have that this is not what he belongs doing. He belongs doing what he's doing. He's doing great work for cancer research. He cares so much. He's saying, hey, if you're a young kid struggling with stuttering, I'll give you my personal number. You can call me. And I don't know that I want a president that's wearing his heart on his sleeve that much. Okay. Thought the question was a little funny, weird to be asking a president. I don't care what their personal challenge was. As a child, this may sound very selfish, but when I'm in a voting booth, I am thinking, who's going to keep a level head at 3 a.m. when North Korea is tossing missiles into the ocean and the air, and they're getting close to us? Who's going to keep a level head? Who's going to run off and go rogue? Who's going to care about us? Who's going to let us have freedom of the press? Who's going to, and do we have to know every little thing? I don't think we do. I think that's a problem, that we know too much, that there's too much going on. So with the candidates, I thought it was a question that it's really not valid to me voting. As a voter, I don't care if Joe Biden stuttered when he was younger. I don't care if President Obama came from had a single mom and a grandma that brought him up. I don't care that Bill Clinton had a mother and whatever. I don't care. I don't care that Jimmy Carter had a peanut farm. I don't care about their childhood. I care about, what are you going to do now? What experience have you had? What are you going to do now? That's all I care about. That is my voting mentality. When I go in there, I'm like, okay, what's your policy? What's your plan? What experience do you have? And how are you going to implement that? And can I listen to you in a speech? Can you articulate what you say? Do you have a little empathy? Are you a person that's trying to be a president for all people, do you really get the powerful position you're in? Do you really understand and honor that office? That, and do you understand you're in the people's house? You're in the people's house. People put you in that house, and there's a good majority of people that didn't want you in the house, whoever you are, and you got to reach out to them too. Are you going to unite? Or are you going to divide? That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to know the math that doesn't make sense, that gives everything to everybody from Bernie Sanders. Don't want to know. It sounds like pie in the sky at this point. So I said this the other day. I'm really looking at. I'm kind of betwixt in between. I'm looking at Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, which you would think can't possibly be together, but it could happen, and or Elizabeth Warren. Those are my three. I'm not looking at Joe Biden. I said from the beginning, I don't see Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders in this. For me, anyways, I don't. And it's not a matter of age. They are career politicians, and so is Elizabeth Warren, but she's done other things. So is Amy Klobuchar, but she's done other things. So I like Andrew Yang a lot. I think he really gets Facebook and technology and business and everything, but I think these people are needed in the government, working in positions that can really help us, and working with the administrations that will be in there. And I hope to God that somebody puts Kamala Harris on a ticket, because she is needed. She's needed. She's very, very detailed. I did not like the way she attacked Joe Biden. It just drove me crazy in the beginning. I didn't like the way Elizabeth Warren went after Bernie Sanders, kind of, and then Bernie Sanders and her went back and forth. And I thought, yeah, she's just going to shoot the Progressive Party in its butt. Um, I'm weary of the government, and so and the news. I'm wary of the news being in the middle of the government, and so much of it. And it doesn't matter if you turn off CNN, turn off Fox, turn off MSNBC, turn off Today Show, turn off. It's everywhere. If you go to turn on a TV, you watch The View. If you go to turn on a late night TV show, it's there. If you go to look on your Facebook, on your feed, whatever's trending, it's there. Instagram, it's there. People are posting their opinions everywhere. I'm not the only person. And it's everywhere. Even at the Super Bowl, there were political statements made from Shakira and J-Lo, which I thought were awesome. I absolutely, and congratulations to the Kansas Chiefs. But I think some news stations can get a little overly obsessed with everything Donald Trump does wrong. I didn't know that the Chiefs uh, weren't in Kansas, that they were actually in Missouri. So I just thought, okay, let's not get down stupid. Let's not go so low. Leave it alone. If the president wrote, you know, Kansas instead of Missouri, but then he fixed it, leave it alone. Leave it alone. He did the right thing. He congratulated them. I'm really having a hard time with people that are having a hard time with Shakira and J-Lo's dancing, gestures, and costumes. I saw a post the other day a good friend of mine made where she really laid it out beautifully, so I don't want to repeat the whole thing, but she spoke exactly what a lot of us were thinking, is two strong Latino women of mixed race and creed and culture were on stage representing, and really representing. And oddly, it's women that are criticizing them the most for everything from pelvis thrusting to bust shaking, which is traditional and found in belly dancing and Latin dancing. Shakira is Lebanese and Colombian, and she grew up doing Arabic belly dancing, which the tongue gesture uh, is a sound in carnival dances that's very, very common in Lebanese cultures, not only Lebanese, but Colombian, where her father immigrated to. Um, she she spoke, what was it, 3 or 4 different languages she sang in. She played the guitar. She played 2 or 3 different instruments, and she danced 4 cultural dances. But all everybody can remember is she did some weird tongue gesture. And might I add, it was her birthday. So maybe she was just celebrating, and happy birthday to Shakira. Um, J-Lo, everyone had a problem with her having a dance pole and thrusting herself around at 50 years old and bringing her daughter on stage. You wish you could thrust like that at 50 years old. Their uniforms were not too showy. Little girls in beauty pageants show more skin than that, and in dance recitals, and always on the beach, and every summer, right? So stop, just stop. Just come right out and say you don't like Latinos, you don't like Arabic, you don't like, but don't, or you don't like women, but don't go there, right? Um, they were awesome. The other thing, real quick, before my light completely goes down here, is the whole problem I have with the caucus and the whole shadow app and everything is that nobody was given training for what to do if it glitched. There were no test runs done. So that kind of leads to a problem right there. And I saw in the first round, the people that were taking care of that first round live satellite being shown were having issue with it. And this is not gonna. So what's gonna happen is, the election's gonna be tossed out. No, not one thing that we're not going to know who really won. It's going to be questioned by Donald Trump. He's going to insist that the election be tossed out, no matter who wins. Um, if a Democrat or an independent or whatever won against him, he is going to use this and so much more that's going to happen, and toss it out. And he's going to stay in there. He's going to stay in there until we figure it out. What else? I'm sorry the light's going down. This is going to be my dark video. We're supposed to get a snowstorm. We'll wait and see. Um, I'm really looking forward to Amy Klobuchar tonight. Um, who else? Who else? Who else? Who else is tonight? Bernie Sanders. I love Bernie. I got so burned by Bernie last time. So I love that I'm gonna get to see Amy tonight and Bernie. And who else? Who else? Who else? Tulsi Gabbard didn't make it on there. Oh, Pete Buttigieg. I love him. Um, Everybody keeps talking. You notice how Joe Biden is now going after Pete Buttigieg. Tom Snyder. I didn't like him last night. What he had to say. It's kind of I'm the only one that knows the answers, and everyone else is inexperienced, and everyone doesn't know, and I'm a winner. And I'm wondering why you're even in New Hampshire. Okay, so I have a little bit of an issue, I said before, with people that are millionaire billionaires being presidents, even though Ronald Reagan was one, even though John Kennedy was one. And I think it's because I got a bad taste in my mouth for what's gone on with all the money shenanigans with Donald Trump in office. Okay, the prayer breakfast today was ridiculous. The celebration of the complete acquittal was even more moronic because he should be just, I'm gonna light him. Okay. He should be just thankful. Just thankful. Humble and thankful. But he doesn't know how to do that. Right. Maybe he does, but he does it in private. But for show, no. I've never the music, the pageantry of a celebration is disgusting. Disgusting. You disgust me, Mr. President, but I pray for you daily that you will be a president for all the people. What else? What else? What else? Your State of the Union was mostly lies. Mhm. People at a national prayer breakfast usually pray and be gracious. State of the Unions are not like, come on down, you've won a prize. Pat, pat on the back, pat, pat on the back. Medal of Freedom, to be giving it to Rush Limbaugh? What? In the same category as people like Rosa Parks, who, by the way, it was her birthday on the State of the Union Day. What, Bill Clinton gave that to Rosa Parks? Rosa Parks created equality for people. Muhammad Ali, Maya Angelou. I could go on and on. Rush Limbaugh? What did he do so great for the country? What did he do? I don't like to blame people that get cancer. I don't like to hate on people that get cancer. But you showed no remorse to John McCain when he had cancer, did you? You showed no remorse to Senator Lewis or Elijah Cummings or anybody that ever got sick. You just made fun of them. I really could not. It was like a WTF, oh my God moment. The Medal of Freedom, the highest honor. You know, I grew up with Republicans that I knew really well, and I don't know the Republican Party anymore. Now, Mitt Romney, I do believe is a man of great, everybody's saying religion, faith, whatever. No, he's a man of God. He really listens to the Holy Spirit. Being a Mormon, I'm pretty, him being a Mormon, a Latter-day Saint, I'm pretty familiar with the tenements of his faith and when you take an oath to God. Their oaths are very important with having to do with their afterlife. And so they will be held accountable. But more than that, their family, so the grandchildren will ask what, and he will have to answer. And I was very proud of him. That said, I didn't understand how anyone could vote guilty on Article 1, but not guilty on Article 2. Article 1 was abuse of power. Article 2 was bribery and obstruction of justice. Now, I know that he said he's going to leave Article 2 to a higher court, or they're going to push it up, or whatever, or maybe they're going to subpoena somebody eventually. Would have liked to hear from Bolt, all that. The book will come out. More will come out, because unfortunately, as much good as Donald Trump does, he doesn't know how to not poop where he is and leave a trail of skid marks that smell. He doesn't clean up after himself while he's sloppy. So, if I were on a jury and I was given those charges, I would say, well, wait a minute. The abuse of power is what led to the bribery and the obstruction of justice. So if I say guilty with one, I have to say guilty with too. And that is a problem with this whole thing. It's a show of due process. It's people following their heart and following their conscience, but it doesn't mean anything. So I do believe in my heart we are seeing the last president in the White House. I've said this before. Other people have said it before too. I do believe we are set up for world order. We are ready to go. And coronavirus is just, I'm not going to say it's a drill. I'm not going to say it's a conspiracy. But last I checked, coronavirus, and I'm going to check this again, is a cluster of viruses that come from the common cold. But then again, every horrible disease comes from the common cold. Herpes virus comes from the common cold. Meningitis comes from the common cold. Pneumonia comes from the common cold. Guillain-Barré syndrome comes from the common cold. Cancer comes from the common cold. So viruses are icky. So all flus come from the common cold. So next time somebody says, "Oh, I just have a cold," you know what? Stay away from me. That's not going to stop me from ordering Chinese food, though. I heard the most racist, ridiculous, craziest ass thing this week. Right here in my apartment complex. From a very close place near me. A lady said, I really miss my Chinese food. I said, go get some. There's a store right over there. Pick up the phone, call and order some. She said, no, it was just the Chinese New Year. Yeah. So all the people that, did you notice the Chinese New Year? A lot of the restaurants were closed. I said, no, I didn't notice that. Oh, I know. Like, no. She said, yeah, they go back home for the Chinese New Year. And they got back into our sovereign country without having to be head scanned, or they could be walking around. It hasn't even been 14 days yet. They could be walking around. They were still letting people back, and they're back in their restaurant cooking. I really thought, I said, well, wait a minute. I don't want to say her name. I said, but wait. I said, but that whole area was quarantined off from people. So if somebody went home to China for the Chinese New Year and they owned a restaurant here locally, they went to China, they would have been walking around with masks on. They would have had to stay away from that area that they thought it came from either bat suits, snakes, or fish market, or who knows what. But it blew me away that, because this is a woman that always orders Chinese food. And she said, no, I won't. I won't even eat at the Walkery, which is a grocery store that has, and that is racism. That is racism. That is fear and racism. So stop it. Stop it. Okay. If you're feeling afraid to eat Chinese food, I'm going to sit here and eat Chinese food right in front of you and show you I'm still alive. I might be a little more, I might gain some weight and look salt bloated. I'm going to show you that you won't die. Okay. All right. Again, I can't even deal with Donald Trump doing the dun 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 dun. Here I am, I won, holding out the paper. Just be humble, Mr. President. Just be humble and go. That's what you should be doing. You should be on your knees at that prayer meeting. You should have been on your knees saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God, that they didn't find anything else, that everybody hid my little secrets, that Rudy kept his mouth shut, that they couldn't get the witnesses. And thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what you've been should be saying instead of Nancy this and that one that and those Democrats this. Just everybody. Okay, I'm very interested to see what is going on with Nick Gordon. I'm very interested to see what will transpire after the Prince tribute, which I don't understand why people from Revolution, Family, NPG1 and NPG2, and especially Family that's fighting for justice for him, would be being carted around Los Angeles at the tribute show from Warner Brothers. Why? And then be given full accommodations, all-inclusive packages by Warner Brothers? Why? Did you ever really know Prince? Okay. Thanks, everybody. Take care.